Hello plant lovers, it is Matthew in Melbourne welcoming you back to my channel. Thank you very much for finding me, and if you're new here, I grow cold, cool, intermediate orchids here in Melbourne, Australia, without a greenhouse or grow lights or humidifiers. Just me and them, either indoors or outdoors, or they're out of the pool. So plant lovers, if that sounds like your kind of environment, do hit subscribe. I post every week on a Friday, and my advice is that of an amateur. These things just work for me. They are not the definitive way or the only way or the right way or the best way to grow your orchids. It's really just what I figured out works for me. And yes, let us look at this baby who is certainly making a run for the hills. Now, I made a video about 3 weeks ago at the beginning of spring with Matthew's spring tasks, and one of them was to repot this, which is a Miltonia guanabara. Now, many learnings about Miltonia guanabara in my climate, which we will go through one by one. First thing is, I've made a video about this when it was in bloom, which I'll link above. Second thing is, I made a video comparing Miltonia with Miltoniopsis, similar but very different, particularly in care, which I will link above. But most importantly, I think, in fact I know, because it bears complete relevance to how I'm about to repot this baby, is that one of my viewers many months ago asked me if I was going to a particular orchid exhibition and sale, and it was by a Vietnamese community group in the northwest of Melbourne. And I hadn't heard of it, and they have a Facebook group page, which I immediately jumped to, and they have a plant sale. So off I went, and there was this amazing grower, and she had Miltonia guanabara, and I have never seen anything like it. It was in a pan, enormous dish, and it was just covered in blossom. And it was only about that deep, so about 5-6 centimeters, about 3 or 4 inches deep. Kind of like a shallow washing up pan, but with drainage. And I said to her, "How are you growing that? Are you growing that outdoors?" And she said, "Yes, I'm growing it outdoors, undercover, and where she grows is colder than me here in the city centre. So she does get nighttime minimums in winter that go below zero, below 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Not crazy below, but below, so cold. Guanabara thrives." And I thought, well, this baby needs to be repotted. It's lived indoors for 2 years. I think it will be a cruel and quite Dickensian ask of me to just thrust it outside in winter. So I decided to wait until spring, till the nighttime minimums warmed up, repot it in sort of my large pot format so that the plant can run, it can fill out a pot, and it can flower till the cows came home, just like her amazing specimen. So it is spring, and we're well into spring now. The nighttime minimums have generally warmed up, but it's still a bit chilly here in Melbourne, let me just say. But I'm going to repot this baby, and I'm going to put it outside and just see what happens. Look at it. It really is ready for a new life. And the type of pot that the grower had it in also inspired me. And I thought, I need to investigate bonsai dishes. Look at that dish. Isn't it stunning? Look at the glaze and the design. So happens, and I'd never noticed it until I was looking, just up the road from me is a bonsai specialist. I'll put the link below. And he has bonsais, but he also has a huge amount of bonsai dishes, which come from Chinese traditional manufacturers. So these are small-scale production houses that make them in a traditional manner using traditional kilns. So that is stunning. Now you can get great bonsai dishes from, in Australia, it's a hardware chain called Bunnings, but you know, Home Depot, B&Q, basically all those chain store hardware stores will have versions of bonsai bowls, which are really inexpensive. This one actually wasn't inexpensive, but let's not talk about that. But I just love it. And it is quite different to the ones that you see in hardware stores. So there's my circumference, which is quite large. Not, I don't think, as big as the growers that I saw at the orchid fair, but nonetheless, it'll do me. My plant is still comparatively small, so I just want to give it plenty of room to run. As per my other video, Miltonias are real sort of runners. They're rhizomatous, but they produce these runners and all of these aerial roots, which are just longing to sink their teeth into some medium and start growing on. So plant lovers, without any further ado, let us unpot this, have a little look at what's going on, and pot it in this beautiful bonsai dish. So I'm going to swing the camera around and we shall begin. Okay, plant lovers, so here is our ingredient list. We've obviously got our orchid, we have got our mix, and this is just a mix of sphagnum moss, medium-sized bark, charcoal and perlite in a fairly generous mix. We have secateurs, just in case anything needs trimming. One large crock piece of broken terracotta for drainage for the base of the pot. Slow release fertilizer. Now this one is a slow release fertilizer that releases over 6 months. And I feel for orchids, most orchids, this is the best way to go because you don't want to be releasing fertilizer to your plants during winter. So you can get slow release fertilizer that's say 12 months. So always kind of good to bear that in mind. The 12-month one will be good for other general plants in the garden or pot plants. 6 months I think is better for orchids. And lastly, my mycorrhizal fungi, and the packet is looking somewhat worse for the wear. I'll put the link below. And mycorrhizal fungi forms a natural symbiotic relationship with the roots of all plants and assists plants in drawing out the nutrients from your medium. So they are very, very important in terms of root health and plant health. You can't hurt the plant by putting in mycorrhizal fungi, and there will probably already be some in the medium, but it doesn't hurt adding some more. Okay, let's clear the decks and then we can depot our plant. All right, let's first of all see how it's going. Right, so we can see some older dead roots and obviously some new active roots. It's spring, so that is the perfect time to be repotting this as you can see, you've got all the new growths and the new roots appearing. So let's just clean off all of this. And you can see here how this plant was a division. And you can also see from this plant how easy it would be to divide it. So I could easily get, well, actually perhaps 3 plants from this, but I'm not going to because I want to show off with a huge specimen plant. All right, so let's just take away all of the older medium. There we go. And I think most of these roots are actually viable. I'm just going to trim off some of the older ones. So you can see with the older part of the plant at the back here that these older roots are all pretty much dead. So we're going to trim those off. Then as you can see, as the plant is growing and spreading, we're having all these new root clusters. So these are the ones that we need to be giving all the energy and opportunity to, and these ones towards the back of the plant have really done their work and can go into the compost bin. Okay, so there is my trimmed plant. Let us now get the dish ready. Okie doke, here is my dish and here is my single crock just for drainage because it is quite a large drainage hole in there. And then we are just going to put a nice mixed layer of all this goodness in the pot. Now, before we go any further, I am going to put in a healthy sprinkling of this slow release fertilizer. There we go. And a healthy little sprinkling of mycorrhizal fungi, kind of the same amount as you'd put cayenne pepper in a spicy dish. So you can see the directions it's going. We have a new direction point here, we have this one here, and we have this one here. So I'm going to put the back of the old plant towards one of the sides and try and give it as much room as possible to spread. So I am literally going to make a little nook for that. And the idea is to get all of these new roots just touching some of that material so they can start getting their roots down and drawing up some of the nutrients. So that is the plan. And now let's just fill in and around all of that. Okay, and now I am just going to put a lot of sphagnum just on the surface, so particularly where all those new roots are, near their little tender growing tips, to encourage them to dig deeper and to have sort of immediate moisture close to hand, and then just sprinkle that with a last layer of bark. Okay, so I have tried to keep the rhizomes sort of just above the surface of the medium, with lots of sphagnum nearby, so that those roots are really encouraged to go a fossicking. So the next thing I'm going to do is go and give this a good drenching with a seaweed-based tonic. So there's our seaweed solution, a generous splosh, a bit of a dilute. I'm going to decant into an easier to use watering can, and then we just give it a good absolute dousing all over. There we are. I think we can safely say that is very, very watered. Well, there we are, plant lovers. Spring, well, one of my many spring tasks completed. I am going to put this outside now, so hopefully, as it will have overhead light rather than light from a window, it might just start to straighten itself up a bit. But anyway, I am quite pleased with that. Miltonias tend to flower with the new growths, so we'll just have to see how we go this season with our blooming. I will report back. But anyway, it has got a whole new lease of life in this beautiful bonsai bowl. So let us just see how we go with Miltonia guanabara in its new pot outside. There we are, plant lovers. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks for joining me. Do give this a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Of course, you don't have to. I hope my amateur orchid ramblings are of some use to you. And I look forward to sharing another amateur rambling with you next week, whatever it might be, who knows, but do join me every Friday by hitting subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you with whatever might be next week.